very good afternoon on behalf of everyone here at Team Lee's Regtech. This is your host Rishi Agarwal, and in yet another exciting conversation with Arunima Jha. We have spoken to her a couple of times before, and today we are talking about a very interesting topic, which is artificial intelligence, machine learning, large language models, which has taken the world by a storm. She's someone who's been working in this area for quite some time and has seen the evolution of these regulations around the world. We thought we'll take a quick pause, get her thoughts on how the regulations are evolving in the rest of the world and how Indian regulations are likely to take shape. So let me bring in Arunima Jha. Let me first introduce her. She is the head of legal and compliance at KnowledgeWorks Global Limited. She's based in Mumbai, a seasoned legal professional specializing in media and technology. She operates within the fast-paced, globally interconnected legal landscape. With a comprehensive understanding of multiple jurisdictions, she navigates complex legal matters, including cross-border transactions, mergers and acquisitions, joint ventures, private equity investments within the dynamic TMT sector. Arunima assists creative visionaries and media powerhouses in traversing the intricate legal framework that accompany international expansion. Her expertise extends to intellectual property agreements. She remains at the forefront of ever-evolving digital landscape, adapting to emerging trends and regulations to safeguard client interests. Beyond legal practice, she actively shares insights on LinkedIn, translates complex concepts into relatable, thought-provoking discussions. She demystifies the legal process, aims to empower clients, and foster innovation across global territories. Arunima holds a BLS, LLB, and an LLM in corporate and business law from the University of Mumbai and an MBA from DY Patil University. Arunima, welcome.
Thank you so much, Rishi, for having me here and for selecting such a unifying topic that is not just bridging different professions but also industries. It's truly fascinating to discuss this, and I hope the audience finds it just as engaging and worthwhile.
So our audience are certainly looking forward to this chat. World of AI is transforming the way we've lived so far, whether it's our personal lives or it's professional lives. AI is penetrating much faster than what we had envisioned. Every other day, as I engage in conversations with some of my classmates, peers, seniors, they keep talking about new use cases that I was not even familiar with. And many of those use cases are making us smarter than we were. Now, you've been working with a number of companies, both in India and the developed world, particularly the United States and European Union, in the area of AI. Tell us a little bit about what kind of new use cases are you seeing and hearing about?
So I'll try and answer this question in a different way. Let me begin by quoting Arthur C. Clarke. Okay, he is a British fiction writer and he has been an inventor. Clarke once said that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. And I think that's what AI has done for us, right? For many of us, the first encounter with generative AI, more specifically ChatGPT, right? It indeed feels like magic. You can craft poetries, you can draft documents, you can produce art, you can compose music, write codes on it, right? And even crack a clever joke. So it is all art of creation which sparks wonder. Yet, I think it is very crucial for us to understand that AI is not magic. It is a product of something which has taken decades of rigorous mathematical and scientific development. And of course, the current capabilities, it is reflecting a convergence of advancements, which is both in computational power, algorithm design, and also data availability. Having said that, I have also used AI to a certain extent when it comes to, doing my work, but I can't completely rely on it. This is more to, ensure that I am more productive and more effective when it comes to the delivery. I think some of the jurisdictions and territories where I've seen AI being used, especially in the judiciary, in the legal domain, if I can put it that way, AI has been really reshaping the landscape, and by which streamlining the processes, by reducing more bottlenecks. Some of the territories even the judges have started, using AI tools to analyze the past rulings and give out orders. I think that's changing now. I think even the judiciary is becoming more advanced and more open to explore these kind of tools, right? I think yesterday in the news itself, there's this case ANI where ANI has chosen to sue OpenAI. Okay, and the whole discussion about when you are creating something from the data which is available publicly, will it be a derivative work or not? I think now the judiciary is also realizing the importance, and this is a digital world, so we can't really skip the whole aspect when it comes to the technology. I mean, today even the tools like e-discovery leverage, we are leveraging e-discovery tools, right? We can go through a vast amount of data to identify which all are the critical evidence while deciding a certain matter, right? It will only make the judiciary more efficient, and some of the territories, some of the states in the US, right, because US have different states and they have their own state laws. So the deployment of AI tool is very different when it comes to the federal and the state authorities. I have seen that, in some of the courtrooms, the judges have started utilizing AI tools to give orders. In fact, this was recently when, a motor vehicles case was in the US, where the order was given via AI tool. So I think this aids court in summarizing the judgments. It will also allow the judges to focus more on the decision making rather than the administrative job. So it will make it more efficient. So it's a faster resolution, and it will also enhance it will also allow enhanced access to justice for the people, for the litigants like you and I, right? So yes, I think AI is something which is reshaping not just the legal domain, but also the judiciary in particular.
I don't come from a legal background, but would it be fair to say that millions of case laws that may be sitting out there, it's much easier now to make sense of many of them and potentially leverage them, because you don't have to know every one of them by heart. You can ask all the right leading questions via prompts, and it can give you some responses back, which could be valuable information in expanding your area of search and becoming smarter with respect to information collation and synthesis?
I don't think we are 100% there because of the drawback of hallucination. AI tools sometimes hallucinate, right? Just like how we humans have a creative mind, so AI tools also have that.
So for
many a times
in our audience who don't fully understand hallucination as a word, would you mind expanding it a little bit?
Hallucination, if I can put it in simple layman's term, would mean that I am thinking of something which is not factually correct, doesn't even exist, and I tell you like a story, which is more fictional. It's not the factual thing, right? So for example, if I go on ChatGPT today and I say, hey, I want a case law wherein something of this sort has been decided, there is a possibility that ChatGPT would not give me the exact case, but hallucinate and give me something which is not existent. And this has happened in the US, where a lawyer has gone to the court with relying on a case which was not existent. And when the judge noticed, right, it was something which AI had done, it has hallucinated. So I think case prediction analysis, it will take some time. However, like I said, there are tools. There are tools like Westlaw, there is Practical Law, and these tools have also started relying on AI prediction when it comes to collating the data. I think, see, AI has been there since 1950s, right? But if you look at the 1980s and 2010 in particular, we have been using machine learning more, wherein we have been putting, and if I can distinguish AI from machine learning in simple layman's term, machine learning is we put in a lot of data into a machine, and that will give me a prediction basis what data I have put in there. AI, in contrast, is a little more creative. It is using publicly available data to give you what is, the correct answer, or perhaps the most relevant answer, maybe not correct, but the most relevant answer that is derived from publicly available data, right? I think many of our tools in the past were relying or utilizing ML as compared and less of AI. And the trend that we have been seeing in the usage of AI has only risen after 2017. And the whole controversy of the OpenAI, and then the CEO coming down, the OpenAI being sued in different territories, has only given more and more hype to the controversy. People have been more aware about it, and also the risk which tags along with it, right?
Besides the use cases that you are seeing in judiciary, particularly in the United States, what are the other use cases? Are lawyers using them extensively for contracts, for general litigation? What are the other areas? Media, OTTs, so many other areas we are hearing about where the developed world is using AI far more aggressively than what we have seen in India so far.
I think one major area, just like law, would be healthcare. I mean, if you see how the medical imaging is happening, right? The AI is interpreting the X-rays or the MRIs or the CT scans of patients, and with the level of detail that surpasses human experts in certain cases. That's also there. The drug discovery, companies are using AI model to generate a certain drug molecules, which will slash years of traditional research and development timelines. So that's there. AI is also customizing treatment plans by analyzing your genetic and historical data. Okay, and forgive me because I'm not a doctor, so I can't give you the exact. I can't vouch for it, but whatever research I've done, whatever I've read on the internet, right? So from there, what I have gathered is healthcare, retail. Retail is harnessing generative AI to refine the shopping experience. Today, AI algorithm recommends products tailored to an individual preference. If you go to Instagram and Meta or Google and you search for something, right? So it will start showing you the same stuff again and again, maybe perhaps available on a different website. So it creates a more seamless shopping journey for a customer. Inventory management, again, the AI is, optimizing the stock levels by forecasting demand and also preventing overstocking or stock shortages when it comes to the retail. And I think because, I've worked in media, so I'll talk about the advertising sector again, right? So in the advertising sector, if you look at the creative content generation, right? We have been using these tools for campaign optimization. I remember doing a contract for a tool that we were bringing in without divulging the personal details, right? Wherein a particular jewelry brand wanted to showcase their jewelry on YouTube, okay? And to understand what is the choice or the preference of the customer, the AI was using some sort of neuron predictability where where you're placing your eye, the AI is, kind of looking at that and then giving you a customized, analytics, which is powered, real-time analytics, which is powered by AI to identify trends, and therefore the advertiser will be allowed to tweak campaigns for the maximum impact they can do for the consumers. I think that is one. Other is the publishing, because I am currently also in the publishing sector, right? AI tools is generating articles, short stories, and even full novels at some time. It is assisting publishers in scaling content. So AI ensures that whatever is adapted for global audiences, okay, it is also translated. It is culturally contextualized, because what may be construed correct or good in one culture may not be same in another culture. So you have to kind of contextualize that book or the document that you're putting out for public. I think AI has been very helpful in that.
And I do a lot of photography, and one question that often pops in my mind is with so much creativity happening via AI, and in particularly in advertising, you can literally create any kind of photograph today or image, digital image from an AI image generator. Uh, what's going on in the space? Do you come across those instances where they are running into some kind of legal trouble and stuff?
So I think, the whole question about the ethical usage of AI and how do we protect the end consumer, right? When we are interacting with them, who has that responsibility? There is there are websites, there are TNCs. Now, as an end consumer, when I'm going to the website and I am giving out my data, there could be a misleading information. Look at what the Google's Gemini software has done today. Gemini ended up abusing, a user, a student, and asked the student to go and die. Now, for somebody who's not going through a right state of mind, it might result into a bigger fiasco. Again, I think this week there was a family of three who were going, they had hired a cab and they were going to attend a wedding, and they were, relying upon Google Maps. So Google redirected them to a bridge which was not fully constructed, right? And they encountered the accident and they died on the spot. So whose responsibility is it? Is it the consumer who relied on the Google map? Is it Google? Or is it the authorities, local authorities, who had not put up any sort of, some sort of a board over there? So who is responsible, right? So I think there is always a risk, because this is also something it is still developing. We are still exploring this tool. This may produce certain fake reviews or misleading ads, or even, ads, or even make certain inaccurate claims. It can trick people into making poor decisions. And that's where your whole Consumer Act or the data privacy comes into picture, right? So, I was reading about like the EU AI Act, okay, and what I noticed is that they have allowed certain things, which is a little restrictive or little, I'll say they have. So, okay, let me rephrase it in a way. This law introduces risk-based approach to support AI system. So most of the AI-enabled video games or the spam filters that we see today, these are unregulated. Something like a chatbot is a limited risk application. So it will still have a light touch regulatory requirements. For example, when you're using a chatbot, you are informed about the biases and the limitations of the applications. Okay, you are given the details as a consumer where the data has been collected from to train the application. Is the chatbot respecting the Copyright Act of that particular jurisdiction wherever it is being used? Will the chatbot discriminate people? Is it safe and secure? Now, this I want to understand as a user. And there are penalties which are prescribed under the Act, and these fines could go to 35 million euros or 7% of the annual company revenue, whichever is higher. And I think, this is to say that when it comes to company, there is good character, there is good corporate citizenship, and there is trust, which is very important. So like any other, even the laws which are there, sometimes there is risk, there is always a risk attached. But as long as we are sticking to the ethical and the legal guidelines, we would prevent certain mishaps that could, from happening.
So I think it's very clear to me that AI is moving faster than what we originally thought. And a lot more use cases are already work in progress. Many different sectors are already putting them to POC-based use. Some of them have moved these to production. At TeamLease Regtech, we are deploying a number of use cases around large language models, machine learning, and artificial intelligence in our products as well. And we've seen some serious benefits come out of it. One of them clearly is consumption of information becomes much faster. Analysis of large quantities of information can become much easier. Timely interventions is an area where in the world of compliance, timely intervention is the key. I mean, you're non-compliant on a given day, you're compliant on a given day, and you can become non-compliant the next day. That's where timely interventions are key. And we are working on a few use cases here. Where I want to understand from you are, what are the new challenges that you are seeing emerge as more and more people are deploying them? I'm sure there are no black and white boundaries anymore. There are large swaths of gray where people are operating in, because there are hardly any new regulations which are available, especially in a country like India. We are still toying with the idea of regulations. We are still trying to understand how to deal with this, how to draw boundaries around it without killing innovation. What is happening in the United States and European Union and Britain and some of the other developed countries? Before that, if you can talk about what new challenges are coming up as people are experimenting with that, I think that would be wonderful.
I think the major challenge that is with AI is regarding its ability to process personal data and generate content, which raises serious concern about privacy and fairness. I mean, many AI systems today, it relies on personal data to create accurate outputs. But as a company, when I am utilizing the tool, it's my responsibility to ensure that I'm getting clear consent from the users before using their data. As a company, it should be mandatory that the companies are clarifying and telling people when they are interacting with AI or when AI generated content is being used. So as I think the whole question about transparency is the major challenge. Without proper disclosures, any consumer can feel misled. So where generative AI can make life easier, companies and creators are the ones who have to act responsibilities. You have to follow laws, you have to be transparent, you have to respect the consumer rights, which will ensure that AI is, the AI benefits everyone without causing harm. And
so any examples of how inadvertently one can be on the wrong side of consumer laws?
So see, if you talk about the US, right, the regulators at the both federal and state levels, they are addressing these challenges which are posed by AI, and they have recognized the need for balanced framework. You cannot restrict technology. You have to encourage innovation, but you also have to safeguard public interest. Different states and countries have taken very unique approaches for regulating AI, and these are setting global benchmarks. For example, in the US, they have come up with a US Bill of Rights, which is AI Bill of Rights, okay? And I don't think this has yet been passed. This has been issued by the White House. And this framework basically outlines the principles to protect Americans from AI-related harms. It emphasizes users' rights when it comes to transparency, fairness, and privacy. And also the focus on developing trustworthy AI system by offering guidelines for risk assessment and mitigation. You have to see, where do you place the accountability when it comes to a developer, it comes to a user, and it comes to a company or an organization who are deploying these bots or utilizing these platforms. So, they are also proposing that there has to be they have to conduct an impact assessment of these AI systems, okay? And they have to see that they are not perpetuating biases or harming consumers. They have to place the accountability properly on companies who are utilizing these tools. They have to conduct these impact assessment and be transparent to the consumers as much as possible. Even if we talk about the state level, right? California, the CCPA, if we talk about the California Consumer Privacy Act and its successor, which was the California Privacy Rights Act, CPRA, it has ensured within the statute that any sort of AI-powered system has to respect the consumer data privacy, and it has to provide rights such as data access, deletion, and the opt-out mechanism. So these laws are encouraging audits of AI systems, which are used in, even in hiring of employees to avoid any sort of discrimination. Now, if an organization is deploying a bot which is kind of going through my resume and I don't get selected, can I say that I was discriminated basis my gender or race or any other protected attributes that I'm not very comfortable with? So how do you be transparent with the people that you're interacting with, who are who are directly getting impacted by the usage of these tools and technology? And Illinois has passed an AI, Artificial Intelligence Act, okay, which regulates how the AI will analyze video interviews. Okay, it mandates, again, you have to be transparent, you have to take the consent from the candidate. New York City, it has, again, it requires that you have to do an audit of the AI system when it comes to the employment decision to check if there is any bias, and you have to ensure that there is an equitable treatment when it comes to the hiring selection. So I think these are some of the benchmarks that has been globally created, and that India can look upon and learn from and create something very similar. That's when
couple of things came out in how you took that question. One was clearly disclosures, right? So information sharing with the person on the other side, letting them know that an AI-based system is probably going to be scanning your resume or looking at your interview and making some decisions on the subject, right? That's clearly one of them. Disclosures are going to grow, I believe, as more and more AI-based systems are put into place. The second one is clearly biases, right? Some of these systems are trained on large quantities of data, and that can create an inherent bias in the way they look at future decisions as well. So I think that's a second one. Are we seeing a similar thing in the European Union? I know European Union is far more active in this space.
I think EU's proposed AI Act is something which is going to serve more like a landmark legislation for many of us. How they came up with the GDPR thing. Same way as GDPR is the landmark legislation for the data privacy legislation in many jurisdictions, this EU AI Act will serve as a landmark. And it will serve as a model for other jurisdictions, right? Because here they have ensured that, any company who are using AI is informing the user about biases and limitations and their applications, right? The Act categorizes AI application into risk levels. So whether it is unacceptable, whether it is high risk, whether it is limited, or is it minimal? And it imposes stricter rules on high risk systems, for example, facial recognition. So this is something which is, for any company to get approval for facial recognition is really tricky over there. And the states in the US are also using a tiered, this as a tiered approach, as a tiered approach to set up as a model. So if you talk about the European, data privacy law that's there in the EU, they have inspired the privacy-focused regulations in not just their states like California, but also for us, DPDP, which was passed. So yeah, I think that's something which is very unique about the EU legislation, and that's something that we can also adopt, having a more tiered approach rather than making it a blanket restriction for any and every company that is proposing to use technology. I mean, I look at it being an enabler, not a impediment.
You mentioned about the EU AI Act. Why don't you spend the next few minutes and talk to us a little more about the broad contours of the Act? What does it entail? You spoke about risk levels embedded in there. Stricter rules are there for higher risk categories. A tiered approach has been taken. Tell us a little more about it.
See, like I said, these regulations are increasingly emphasizing that any developer and the user, user as in the company, is must take the accountability for the outcome of the technology. Okay, when you are using these technologies to collect data or utilize, making certain decisions based on these AI, you have to ensure that you are disclosing, you're being transparent, and how this technology is being used, how your decisions are made. This is to ensure that these systems are free of discriminations. I think that's something very unique about the EU AI Act. I am also I'm closely following that, but still not worked on it or not come across it, even the documents where we are starting to incorporate these provisions in any of our contracts as of now, because this is something which is still at a very nascent stage. But I think these regulators are working with a lot of international bodies across to create a more interoperable standards which could be utilized for AI governance. And they have implemented very strict rules when it comes to generative AI systems to comply with government guidelines to ensure that there is data accuracy and avoid generating harmful content. It is also setting a more stringent regulatory tone globally, and it will, like I said, it will serve as a landmark legislation globally for everyone to get inspired by.
Now, what is the direction that Indian government has taken so far? Have you seen any instances of putting some leashes on the leveraging of AI and additional accountability? Do you think something is in the offing?
See, I think India has not come up with a codified law as of now, but I am observing AI being used, integrated in our daily lives. And it is, right from navigating traffic, interacting on social media, or when it comes to consuming the entertainment, right? We have been utilizing AI technology. It has been become a silent partner in our routines. But the real question isn't just about acknowledging AI's presence, but understanding its process and outputs, and to what extent can we trust them. And what are the regulatory restrictions that are required to address the challenges which are posed by AI? How can we introduce a framework which is not just encouraging innovation, but also safeguarding the basic human rights of any end consumer? I think that's something which is still at a very debate level when it comes to India. Like I said, yesterday itself, I was reading about the whole ANI and the ChatGPT case, and I think that is going to open a lot of, the whole Pandora's box about how ethical AI usage can be for the country, and to what extent are we protected when it comes to the copyright, the copyright law or any other related statute. So India is still, we are talking, but we have not come out with something which is very cogent as of now.
So outside of the United States and the European Union, are there any other glimpses of things coming out from, say, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Singapore, areas around the subject?
I think Canada and China. Canada is doing some very good work when it comes to the AI and Artificial Intelligence and the Data Act. They have come out with this AIDA to ensure that AI systems are adhering to the principles of whole transparency, accountability, and fairness. And they're also influencing states like Washington and Colorado. China, again, they have implemented very stringent rules when it comes to generative AI system. And, even their act on PIPL, the Personal Data Related Act, forgive me, I don't remember the exact name of the statutes as of now. But they have they have put in certain restrictions to ensure that these systems do comply with the government guidelines, and to avoid any kind of generating harmful content or any sort of damage to be done to the end consumer. So that's there, and I think these countries are also setting up very a stringent regulatory tone globally, just like the EU. So that's there.
What are your thoughts on India being a little bit of a passive player in this space?
I think, generative AI has made life easier for all of us. But as when it comes to if I think from a company perspective, if you ask me as somebody who's been a counsel for a company, I would talk about encouraging technology rather than restricting it. Okay. And if I talk from an end consumer individual perspective, I would want to know where my data is being used, how my rights are being protected. Okay, how can I benefit maximum from this AI? So I think India is still observing what is going there globally. Okay, what kind of statutes or codified laws are coming out, and basis that I'm sure they will also frame something. I think EU, like I said, EU legislation will serve as a model for even for us, because even if you look at the DPDP, the data protection law for us, right, it is still not while it has been passed and all, right, it is still not come in force, right? And I think that is also from an infrastructure logistic challenges perspective, because we are in a country where the DPO is not yet established. We still don't have many use cases which can act as a precedent, and that is also true for the AI usage and the AI regulations. So I think India is just observing to take certain, to take more, to look at other regulations as a model, and then derive something of their, derive something from it, and then frame something of their own, which will be more specific to the Indian territory.
I think you're absolutely right when it comes to not having enough use cases in public domain yet. We haven't seen too many examples of damage being done as a result of some actions being taken by individuals or entrepreneurs yet. But I think this massive speed at which AI is starting to penetrate public as well as corporate lives, the day is not far when we will start seeing some of these challenges emerge as well. So I think while we see what kind of frameworks are evolving in the West, I think we should have a direction being taken, a committee being formed which can start evaluating what is happening in the rest of the world and start putting together a contextual framework which can go in the public domain for a draft and commentary and so on and so forth, so that we are not left behind on a subject where a country with $1 trillion aspiration of becoming a digital economy cannot be left behind on privacy, confidentiality, AI and stuff like that. I think even if it is a little amorphous at this stage, I think the broad contours of the regulation should still start to evolve.
Absolutely. And I think, a term, I think that will also include the method of how you craft, more focused tools to ensure that, we are conversing with these AI tools to get the best output, right?
Absolutely. Well, Arunima, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. This is an evolving area, and we thought it would be a good idea to pick your brain. You constantly work with clients in the developed world and deal with use cases, some of which you have discussed with us today. We would look to talk to you at your available convenience as this subject evolves. Until then, thanks a lot and have a good one.
Thank you so much, Rishi. Once again, thank you so much for having me here.